In prehistoric times, there were many myths and stories telling about heroism and courage. One of these myths is the myth of Achilles. Achilles was born to a mother, the sea lion Thetis, and a father, King Pylos. According to myth, Thetis knew that her son was destined to be a great warrior, but she also knew that his life would be short. In an attempt to protect him from any harm, Thetis immersed her son in the waters of the river Styx, making him invulnerable to all attacks. However, while he was submerged, I held his heel, so he did not get wet with water, so his heel became his only weak point. Achilles grew up to be a strong warrior. Achilles learned to use the sword and spear and emerged as an exceptional warrior in strength and speed. The Trojan War began when Paris, Prince of Troy, kidnapped Queen Helen of Sparta. Greek heroes gathered under the leadership of King Agamemnon to sail towards Troy, and Achilles was among them, leading the army of the Myrmidons. Achilles proved unbeatable in battle. He led his army with courage and skill, causing such great destruction among the ranks of the enemies that no one could stand up to him. He achieved many victories, and his name became synonymous with terror among his enemies. But his relationship with Agamemnon was not always smooth. They disagreed over a boy from the spoils of war, which led to Achilles temporarily withdrawing from the fight, which almost changed the course of the war. In the heart of the Trojan War, a decisive moment came when Achilles decided to confront Prince Hector, the first defender of Troy. Hector was a brave warrior and a loyal leader, and his encounter with Achilles was fated. The battle between Achilles and Hector was epic. The two warriors met in direct confrontation, each determined to kill the other. After a fierce and long fight, Achilles was able to kill Hector. This was in revenge for the death of his good friend Patroclus, who was killed by Hector. Achilles not only killed Hector, but dragged his body around the walls of Troy with his chariot. This act was an expression of his anger and deep sadness over the loss of Patroclus. After a siege that lasted 10 years and many battles, and the walls of Troy were still impervious to the attacks of the Greeks decided to resort to the trick of the wooden horse and put their best fighters inside the horse. After the silence of the night, the fighters got out of the horse and opened the doors of the fort, unaware of the Trojan soldiers. Troy was stormed and burned completely, but it is all a legend. It has its end, and the legend of Achilles ends here in Troy as it appeared there, where the Trojan prince Paris, known for his archery skills, wounded Achilles in the bottom of his foot with a deadly arrow, and the curtain came down on the legend of Achilles. But the legendary story remains passed down through the generations, whether it was true or a fantasy. But we loved it and lived it. With its heroes, their tragedies, and their joys, subscribe to the channel to watch more.